Welcome back to the City Current Radio Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And we're honored to be with our next guest, Brigadier General Eden Murrie, U.S. Air Force retired and CEO of Operation Stand Down Tennessee. How are you doing, Eden?
Good morning. I am doing great. Thanks so much for having us on today, Operation Stand Down, and me personally.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. We greatly appreciate the service and the supporting of our freedoms, but also the work you do for the veterans, which is so important. So give us a little bit of history and context. When you talk about Operation Stand Down Tennessee, give us a little bit of history.
Yeah, so Operation Stand Down Tennessee has been in existence for over 28 years. We were founded as an organization that really was there to support homeless veterans, but we have evolved. And over the last 6 years, really, we have evolved as an organization into what we like to call the 3 C's. 3 C's, lines of effort. And our first C is connection. And so whether you're a retired general like I am, or you're just transitioning out, we want to connect you. We want to connect you with the community. We want to connect you with other veterans. We want to connect you with your VA benefits. We want to connect you with volunteer opportunities. We're all about connection. The second C is career transition. And if you're leaving the military, you're transitioning in some way, shape, or form. And again, it doesn't matter what rank you're transitioning at. It can be stressful. We're there for you. Let us help you with that. Thanks to the great employers in Middle Tennessee, we have a great network. We always are being asked, hey, do you have a veteran who's looking for employment? So if you're transitioning into this area, we got your back. And so we want to help you with that. And then the last thing, our last C, is crisis. And you know, COVID showed us that anybody can find themselves in crisis when you least expect it. The flooding in Waverly. I mean, crisis can be around the corner. You have a car accident, and then all of a sudden you've got medical bills. Who knows what crisis that could be? And so we have money to help you in crisis. We have a food bank. We have connections. We can help you maybe with some rent or some utilities or, gosh, a job or, you know, whatever. And so we've got some crisis support. There are certain qualifications for those, but at the same time, we have some general operating funds that we can do, you know, to help any family at any level. And so those are our 3 C's: connections, careers, and crisis. And so that's kind of what we are.
Yeah, and very holistic with everything you're talking about in terms of the support network, wrap around, and making sure that you get them in the right direction. Talk about numbers. So when you look at kind of statistics, what are the stats that you look at? How do you kind of measure things?
Yeah. So if you were to look, you know, COVID a little bit, you know, is different for everybody, but even with COVID last year, we had over 7,000 veterans reach out to us. And then some of those veterans, some of our services take 1 or 2 times of meetings or contact or whatever. And so approximately 3,000 unique veterans received our services across the spectrum of those 3 C's. And so those are what we're looking at. You know, I think we had over 225 job placements last year, thousands of dollars of temporary financial assistance, especially with the additional COVID dollars that came in last year. But even routinely, you know, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to help veterans in a variety of different ways. And so those are some of the statistics we have there. Oh my gosh, and VA benefits. I mean, we're connecting thousands of people with their VA benefits. The nice thing about our office here in Nashville is the Davidson County Veteran Service Officers actually reside with us here. So if you're a Davidson County resident, you're going to come to our headquarters here in Nashville, where there's free parking. Let me emphasize that again, free parking. And you can see us or our or the veteran service officers here. And then we have an office in Clarksville too that has free parking. And so if you're up in the Clarksville area, we want you to chat with us up there. But you can call us. You can be in anywhere in Tennessee and call us. We had a young man who was transitioning last year, not this year, because we all know about, well, anyway, I'll just say a young man who was looking for his next job from Afghanistan. And he called us and said, hey, I'm going to come to the Middle Tennessee area. Can you hook me up with some stuff? And so our team was working with him. We had somebody in Germany that we're working with in. So if people are thinking that they're going to transition to Middle Tennessee, let us help you out. And so those are kind of some of the numbers. I think we have a staff of almost 50 between our 2 offices. 3/4 of us are veterans. So we've been there and done that. And so we can talk, you know, we know where you're coming from. We know what the acronyms are. We have all services represented. So yeah, so that's kind of what we are by the numbers.
You mentioned a lot of growth, especially over the last 6 years. You've launched a lot of innovative new programs recently. Talk about some of the new programs.
We have two great programs that I'm really excited about for our career transition. The first one is our Veteran Fellowship Program. It's a paid fellowship. You get a salary, not a ton. You're not going to be a millionaire, but you get a salary, and then you get a monthly stipend. And then you're going to work with an employer here in the Middle Tennessee area for 4 months. And you're going to learn on the job stuff. You're going to learn to read a balance sheet and an income statement. You're going to learn what customer service looks like in the civilian world. You're going to learn some of that civilian etiquette and that business jargon that us and those of us who leave the military just don't know. Meanwhile, while you're working, you're going to have some academic courses through Belmont University's Jack C. Massey School of Business. And so you're going to look at a balance sheet at your employer, and then you're going to explain, and then somebody's going to explain to you what you just looked at. So you're going to have both experiential learning and you're going to have academic learning, and that's paid for. And that's our Veteran Fellowship Program. It's 4 months. Our current employers, and our fellowship starts in September 13th. It's full, sorry. But in the next cohort you can apply for, the Predators are a host employer, Standstill Electric is a host employer, Ingram Barge is a host employer, and Small Direct Club is a host employer. So we're really, really excited about that. And that's all about, Jeremy, that's all about transitioning successfully. Go into the numbers. One of the things that veterans struggle with the most is finding a good fit, because when you leave the military, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to get a job. I got kids, I got college, I got to get a job. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe I didn't get the right job. So we want to do a purposeful look at where you think your career ought to go afterwards and what your civilian next is. So that's one great program. I'm really excited about that in case you can't tell. The other program that I'm really excited about is our Veteran Mentorship Program. There are great national programs for veterans and mentors. A lot of them, Veterati, Hire Our Heroes, Recruit Military, there's spouse mentorship programs and all of that. What we have found though, and I think those of us who live in the Middle Tennessee area, it's all about who you know. And so we want to connect veterans with mentors in the industries here in Middle Tennessee. And so that if you're looking at going into logistics or manufacturing, then let's hook you up with Tractor Supply, and let's hook you up with Dollar General, and let's hook you up with the local Amazon. You know, if you think you want to be a lawyer in Nashville, then let's hook you up with that. If you want to live in Nashville and do wealth management, then we're going to hook you up with a mentor there. If you think you want to do healthcare, we're going to hook you up with a mentor here, as opposed to a national mentor, you know, really someone who can give you that network background that you need. And so those are two great programs that we have right off the bat.
Share a little bit of your experience. I've got a brother who served in the Marines, and so I've seen this firsthand through his eyes of transitioning out. And you go from being in a combat area where you are, you know, protecting others, but protecting your own life. And at any moment, 24/7, you're guarding against things. You've got your brothers and sisters, and there is structure, there's accountability, there's so much going on. And then all of a sudden you get out, and then to your point, it's like, wait a second, the acronyms are different. The world is a little different. You know, sometimes the way that they see in terms of the title and rank doesn't add up in the corporate world, like all these things. I'm used to running a team who all look up to me, and now I'm kind of thrown into this corporate world. At the same time, though, coming out of the military, you know sacrifice, you know how to lead, you know how to be accountable, you know how to create results. You are finding solutions and solving problems. And so I think there's so much power for veterans, but there is a transition period. So talk about it from that lens, especially for the corporations, the employers, on the power of hiring veterans and the public understanding there is transition, mental transition as well, but we have a powerful opportunity to leverage the leadership and the skills that veterans bring to benefit our community.
Could I just hire you? Because then you can just say all that to everyone. Okay?
I've just seen it firsthand.
Well, and you have, and have I too. So, you know, just use myself as an example. I changed everything. I changed industry, I changed location, I changed function, and I changed status when I moved to Nashville and started working in the nonprofit sector. They didn't hire me as the CEO on the first day, even though I'm retired 1-star. So I think as veterans, we need to manage our expectations. You know, I had a $2 billion budget. I was running programs in the Pentagon. That doesn't mean that corporate America is going to hire me to run $2 billion worth of dollars. They're going to have to do a little bit, you know, maybe you're going to come in and you're going to grow. So you need to manage we need to manage as veterans our own expectations. And as a leader in the military, and I'm sure certainly in the Marines, this is even more often done because the Marines are I mean, the Air Force is up here and the Marines are right there on the ground. And so you're constantly telling young Marines, you're the greatest, you're the best. Oh my gosh, you're going to take them. Oh, people can't wait to get you. And that's true to some extent, but you have to manage your expectation as a veteran on where you might. And that's why it's so important to really look and see what you want to do. For the employers, you're absolutely right. The thing that you're going to get with a veteran is maybe it's going to take a month to spin them up, but man, then just get out of their way. Give them the chance. One of the biggest things, like veteran unemployment right now is low, and that's really, really good. Veteran underemployment is high. And so what that means is kind of what I said. I'm managing my own expectations, but that employer is not bringing me at the level. And so it may grow, but then you've got to be intentional about that. I will say that some of the best employers out there have and a lot of employers have resource groups. And there's resource groups for people with kids, and there's resource groups for people who like baseball, and there's all of that. But there's a lot of employers have veteran resource groups that they set up, and they're very intentional about and making sure that those folks are involved and understand. And so the employers, I think, that help veterans be the most successful are those that have a kind of a battle buddy system that we're used to in the military. So if you're going in and you don't really, your credential wise, you're like, oh gosh, you ought to hit the ground running, but I don't understand the acronym. What's the culture of this company? All of that. So if you have a battle buddy, I worked on the Hill for a year for a senior senator, and the Air Force sent me there. So I was still in uniform, but I showed up my first day on the Hill. I showed up at 7:30. I couldn't even get in because the door is locked and they don't show up till 9 o'clock. I'm like, okay, that would have been handy to know. And so those are the kind of things, that I think veterans could use a little help with. And so employers to be intentional when you hire them, and then be intentional maybe to look at resumes, because my resume is going to get stuck in that whatever thing you're doing. So maybe have your HR department separate those veteran resumes out. Doesn't mean you're going to hire them, but maybe you give them a deeper look.
Two very helpful bits of advice. The battle buddy, I like that. The support network, that's a great idea. And then to your point, separating the veteran resumes out so that they're a little more equal and they're not comparing against the others. That's great advice too. So really helpful. Carry that forward. I'm just curious from an advice standpoint, when you look at other cities, other communities trying to integrate veterans and create the support network, when you look at the programs on your end that have been really successful and just kind of what you're doing, the ethos, what's maybe one other recommendation to really help veterans make sure that they're on the right trajectory for any community across the U.S.?
Yeah, so you have to be intentional. And we all try, when I say we, veteran service organizations, several cities, they try and have a veteran network where you can reach out. But the good thing is there's a lot of places to reach out to. The bad thing is there's a lot of places to reach out to. So you can get overwhelmed by resources. So I would say, it's really, really hard to do this. So I'm saying what you should do that I did not do, leaving active duty, and that's be intentional. If you can, take a good 3 months and really, if you can, start sooner. I mean, here's what I would say too to all of us. When you enter active duty, they're not going to keep you for the rest of your life. They're eventually going to get rid of you. They're going to say bye-bye because they need to bring in other people, just like some other, you may be able to, I spent 29 years, but even so, you can send the handwriting on the wall. So you should be thinking about it at the end. When you're on active duty, establish your LinkedIn profile, follow people that you think are important. Decide, kind of think, well, for me, I thought, well, I think I'll teach after I retire. So I got my master's degree, and then I got another master's degree, and then I ended up getting a third master's degree, and I don't teach at all. So, so much for that. But I think that's, be intentional as you go forward, volunteer in your community, because for me, that's going to help you build your resume. I volunteered here, or I did that. And that's easy for me to say. Those of us who served on active duty, you're like, I don't have time to do that. I'm working 12 hours at the Pentagon. I get that, but there are places in your career to do it. And then when you're 3 months out, 6 months out, really be intentional. Where do I think I want to be? Where does my spouse want to be? My husband decided that we would move to Nashville. I did not. I said, honey, I don't have a network there. I'm going to try to get a job. I don't know anyone. Are you sure you want to move to Nashville? He's like, yep, that's where we're going. I'm like, okay. But that was his turn to pick. He had followed me around for a long time. And so all of those things, it's kind of like when we say PCS, a permanent change of station, you're looking ahead. Where am I going to put my kids in school? Where am I going to live? What's my spouse going to do? Where's my medical care? You're doing that in your transition too. So we're going to help you as best we can, but you got to take some ownership.
Yeah, great advice. Talk about how the community can help. You have some upcoming events that are big opportunities to plug in and support. So that's one piece of this, but how can the community help?
Yeah, so I know it's easy to say that we always need money, and we always need money. I'm not going to say that. We love donations. We love in-kind donations, of food, gift cards. That's a big thing. We can give someone a non-perishable food bag, but I like to be able to give them a Kroger card so they can buy their perishables. So, go out and get us a couple Kroger cards, and we'll give those out to people who are in need and all of that. So all of that, certainly donations, we're going to put your money to good use. Those of us who work in the nonprofit sector, we have federal grants, Truth in Lending, and those pay for certain things, but they're limited. And so we always have general operating needs that we need. And I'm not talking about my salary or any of that, although that's important to me personally, but you know what I mean. But, programming that's not covered by federal funds, we can always use dollars for that. Volunteers, we have volunteer opportunities. A little bit different now with COVID, but we're starting to pick up a little. We have a brand new program that we're about to launch. I'm so excited. I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to hurry. It's called Operation Commissary. One of the biggest needs that we found, and it's always been there, but COVID showed me how close so many of us are to food insecurity. And so through a great collaboration with Feeding America, Second Harvest, with some great foundations who've given us money, we have the foundational money to start Operation Commissary. We'll be able to deliver food to veterans who are homebound, disabled veterans, elderly veterans, Gold Star spouses, military widows. We'll set that up. That'll be, as we grow that program, a great opportunity for people to volunteer to just drop that bag of groceries off on their porch. That'll be great. And then we're going to team with American Legions of VFWs and churches and communities and take 20 bags out here so people don't have to drive here. They don't have to drive anywhere. They can get that. We're really excited about that program, but volunteering is one way. And then events, we have a fun event coming up. And if you'd like to make a donation, we'll have a bucket out there, but I think it's for the community. It's called OurCorner Fest, right here at the corner of 12th and Edge Hill, 1125. And we're calling it OurCorner Fest instead of Oktoberfest, but it is the last official day of Oktoberfest per the Munich calendar. And the Bavarian Beer Garden from Opry Mills is going to bring their entire beer garden here. That's a veteran-owned restaurant, by the way. Please support them whenever you can. They're going to bring their entire beer garden here. We're going to have vendors, some veteran vendors, some non-veteran vendors. We're going to have a local axe throwing business who's also veteran-owned. They're going to be here. We're going to have live music. Creative Vets is our tenant and a great partner with us, and they have a great end to the music arena. So from 1 to 5:30, we're going to have a stage with live music. Have a beer, come sit out at our corner, enjoy that. We have a VIP room if you'd like to pay for that. Otherwise, it's free. It's all on our website, osdtn.org, and it's on our social media at osdtn. So that's one event. And our second event, which I hope you'll come to, we have a fabulous speaker this year. November 4th is our annual Heroes Breakfast. And Colonel Greg Gadsden is going to be our speaker. He was one of the first senior officers injured in Iraq, severely injured, lost both his legs and use of his left arm. He's a motivational speaker. He, as a West Point grad, was a football player, was one of the first folks to remain on active duty, that severely injured, and retired as an 06 and battalion commander out of Fort Belvoir, the base commander at Fort Belvoir. He's going to be our speaker on November 4th. That's a breakfast at the Music City Center. You can buy tickets online on our website. They're $100 tickets, or you can buy a table, and that's all on our website. Or just reach out to me at Eden, EDEN, at osdtn.org. That's my email, and I'll hook you up. So those are our events we have coming up.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. Wrap up again. I know you just mentioned the email, but wrap up again with website, contact information. Where does everyone go to learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to info@osdtn.org, and that way we're going to put you in touch with the right person. Do you think maybe you need some assistance? Do you want to volunteer? Info@osdtn.org is the great place to go. Our website, www.osdtn.org, and then Facebook and Instagram, find us on there at OSDTN, and then our Facebook page. And we got social media out there, both for our Nashville office and our Clarksville. I want all the folks in Montgomery County and the counties up there to know that we have great support up there for you too. So we got almost 50 people who want to help veterans connect, help you with your career, and help you if you're having a crisis.
Absolutely love it. And for everyone, it's basically the initials. So Operation Stand Down Tennessee. So when you look at the website, osdtn.org. So Eden, thank you all for you and your amazing team for everything you do for our community. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having us and letting us chat about our great services. Have a great day.